We, as a nation, are often faced with choice, to choose between what is easy and what is right. And today we are again faced with a choice. We can either sit idly as our own government takes more power for itself with legislation such as Obamacare or the Dodd-Frank Act, as our own economy still struggles. Or we can stand up and say no more, not today. We can take back our economy and remind those people down in Washington just how much value the right to make our own decisions is. For the past few years, we as a nation have been leading from behind. But we cannot afford that any longer. Instead, we must lead the way and get back on the right track. On July 21st, 2010, the past administration passed the Dodd-Frank Act. With this act, you were made a promise. This act would prevent anything like mortgage meltdown and the government bailouts from 2008. This act would end the idea of too big to fail, so never again would the American people have to pay for government bailouts from private companies. We would have transparency in business. We would have to pay for government bailouts, create jobs, and all at no added cost to the American people. Well, at least until 2014. But instead, we now have a bulky, complicated bill with almost 400 regulations that cost all banks, both big and small, thousands of hours and even more money, which will cause banks to become more cautious and less likely to make investments in some areas, which does nothing to regulate the housing market, which was a major contributor to the economic problems in 2008. My opponent, Mr. Challoner, has proposed things like reinstating the Glass-Steagall Act, keeping the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, and by switching over to alternative energy, all while avoiding drilling for oil to boost our economy. And while I am sure that he means well, these proposals are not realistic for this country. The Glass-Steagall Act, which separates commercial and interest banking from each other, would have done nothing to prevent the economic meltdown that occurred in 2008. If the Glass-Steagall Act had still been in place, Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns would have still have collapsed, Merrill Lynch would have been bought by Bank of America, and the recession, no matter the cost, would still have happened, making the reinstatement of this act completely redundant. This wouldn't be leading us to a better economy. Instead, it would be wasting our time. As I have said before, my opponent has said that he proposes to invest in alternative energies while not drilling for oil from any source that is untapped within the United States. While ideally this would be a nice idea, it's simply not realistic. At this time, America depends too much on oil to continue to use it, and expanding where we drill for it will not only help us become more energy independent, but it will also create countless jobs, not only for drilling, but also for refining oil. So now the time has come to choose. The choice is between letting our decisions be made by the government, something which from the very beginning our own founding fathers had set out to avoid at all costs, and leading the way to start fixing our economy so that we can move forward to a better future for us and our posterity. Thank you, and vote Daniel Blumin and Roy Zukoff for President and Vice President for 2013. Thank you very much.